At the time of me recording this video, and likely by the time I've posted the video, not a single My Hero Academia character has been announced for Jump Force. Despite this, come on, it's My Hero Academia. It's going to be in the game. Let's not sit here and pretend it's not. My Hero Academia is actually the anime that sparked my passion for anime again. I hadn't watched an anime in, oh my god, it must have been 3 or 4 years. And then My Hero Academia came along, and then I realized what I was missing out on. And my story is not unique to me. That's true for a lot of people. You know, a lot of people might have grown up on Dragon Ball or Naruto or even One Piece and then just stopped watching anime. And then My Hero Academia comes along and it's like it's a new anime with fresh animation and new art style. And people try it and they realize, wow, this is a whole genre that I've been missing out on. So with all of that in mind, let's establish how many characters we expect to see from My Hero Academia. Currently, One Piece is the series with the most characters. They've got 5 characters. I'm expecting that number to be around about 6 or 7 by launch. One Piece is one of the world's largest anime franchises. It's obviously one of the big 3, you know, you've got One Piece, Naruto, and Dragon Ball. Over the last few years though, My Hero Academia has added itself to that list. So knowing that it's, you know, one of the bigger animes in the world, I expect My Hero Academia to get somewhere between 4 and 6 characters. I'm thinking about doing another video about a Naruto roster and a Dragon Ball roster, so if you're interested in that after you've watched this video, let me know in the comment section. Let's go over some of the more popular and important characters for My Hero Academia. Starting off with, of course, Deku. Deku is the main character of the anime, so of course he pretty easily gets his slot. Bakugo. This one is rough. I'm unsure about this one because whilst Bakugo is certainly Deku's main rival, at least up until this point in the anime. No manga spoilers, please, friends. Despite that, I don't actually think that guarantees him a slot. Alright, let's talk villains. Starting off with Shigaraki. Shigaraki, currently in the series, is setting himself up to be the main villain opposite to Midoriya or Deku. But I think he would be a little out of place in Jump Force. The character's moveset shown up until this point in the anime appears to be a little limited. I would imagine this is going to change the more the series progresses. So again, no manga spoilers please, but I don't think it would be worth using him in Jump Force. It's true My Hero's One Justice came up with an interesting moveset for him, but even that one feels a little limited and certainly less cinematic than it could be. Next up is Dobby, and Dobby feels like he's on the opposite end of that spectrum. Dobby's powers seem to lend themselves perfectly to Jump Force. They're very cinematic and they're very cool looking. However, there are a couple issues with Dobby. Dobby's only real impact on the anime so far has been fairly low. We haven't seen much of him, we don't know much about him. He's really only had one fight. With that said, it does appear that he's going to become more important to the My Hero story, although it hasn't happened yet, at least in the anime. So right now, the only reason to really put him in the game is because of how cinematic he is, and that he is possibly going to be important in the future. Although I say possibly pretty loosely there. He's almost definitely going to be very important in the future. All for One. All for One is somewhere in the middle of that as far as reasons are concerned, right? I said you wouldn't want to put Shigaraki on the roster because of his limited moveset, and then I said Dobby isn't necessarily story relevant enough. All for One just comes in and he's all like, listen, I'm very important. I'm actually really, really powerful. I'm actually the guy. But because of his power level being so dramatically different to the other characters on the roster, they might try to limit the roster to specifically the children, not necessarily children, but the heroes in training, and maybe like a professor or two, or at least people who interact with those heroes in training quite a lot. So for that reason, I think I'm gonna get All for One off of this list and eliminate him completely, but I'm unsure about that pick, because I don't know, it just could be entirely off base. Next up is All Might. I know he's not a villain, but I decided to talk about him here because we were just talking about All for One and it just makes sense. All Might seems like a perfect fit for Jump Force, but he could also not be included because of what I was just talking about, right? You might want to keep the power levels from everybody from the same franchise at roughly the same, so perhaps maybe All Might is too far on that theoretical like power curve, but I don't think that power curve is particularly important, especially if it's a friendly face, right? If it was a villain, maybe it'd be a bit different with All for One, but with All Might, I could see them working him onto the roster despite the age difference and the power difference, just because of how important he is to the series. Stain. I fully recognize that Stain isn't on the level of the heroes in training. I fully recognize it took Shoto, Ida, and Deku to take him down, and even that was after he had already fought a pro. In my opinion, Stain has the highest likelihood of any of the villains to make it into the game. Because of his philosophy, he seems like he would be the most likely character to help along the story progress. Let's say the main villain of the game is Light Yagami. Of all the villains in My Hero Academia, who's most likely to join forces with the team and help them on that endeavor? I feel like the closest person to it would be Stain. And even if it wasn't, I still think Stain would be the most likely just because he's had the most interactions with the main characters, or at least the most physical interactions with the main characters. With the primary villains out of the way, let's talk about secondary characters like Ida, Shoto, Uraraka, and even Tokiyomi. Ida. I don't think Ida is very likely, despite being a very popular character, and despite being Deku's closest friend, he isn't super relevant to the story, at least right now in the anime. And to be able to show up on the Jump Force roster, I feel like you would need to have a fairly high impact on the story. I'm going to try very hard not to be biased here, but Shoto to me is almost 100% locked in. Assuming that we're getting My Hero Academia, I feel like Shoto has to be on that list. Shoto is everything you want in a representative. He is aesthetically perfect. The visual effects possibilities are perfect with his fire and ice combination. He is very story relevant and is very popular among the fans. I would be shocked to not see him in the game as either a main roster candidate or as DLC. Uraraka. I would love to see Uraraka. I think she is one of the most well-written female characters in anime. She's smart, she's very powerful, but not in like an arbitrary, like I'm very powerful because I have secret awesome powers. She's powerful in the sense that she's a smart character and uses her abilities the best she can. I could do an entire video about Uraraka and why I think she's a perfect character, or very, very close to perfect, but now's not the time for that. Regrettably though, I feel like she's very, very unlikely as a main roster candidate. I could possibly see her as DLC, but even that seems very, very surprising. I don't think this one's happening, and it pains me to say it, because if I could play Uraraka in any game, I would be so happy. And obviously, Once Justice has Uraraka in it, and I'm going to play a lot of Uraraka in Once Justice once it's out here in Australia. I'm waiting for a physical release because I'm getting that thing on Switch. Tokoyami. I do not expect Tokoyami to be in the game just because he doesn't have a big enough impact on the story right now. I'm really hoping this character ends up evolving into something much greater than he is right now, because he is awesome to watch on screen. So after I've broken down all of the popular characters, or not all of them, because obviously there's still a ton of more popular characters, but I think the most likely popular characters, I can officially run you through my exact prediction list, which is Deku, Stain, and Shoto. Those characters seem very likely to me. On top of that, you could have All Might. I think All Might is the next candidate if you were to add one more. And Bakugo. I think Bakugo's pretty close as well, if you had to get a fifth in there. But really, the characters I'm most confident in are Stain, Shoto, and Deku. If you made it this far in the video and you enjoyed it, you might be wondering what my wish list would be as opposed to my prediction list. My wish list would be much different. My wish list would be Deku, Dobby, Shoto, Bakugo, and Uraraka. You might notice I had no professors on there, no adult characters, no villains. Well, I had Dobby, I guess. And does Dobby count as an adult? I don't know. I have all these characters on here just for really selfish reasons. I like Deku a lot, I like Dobby a lot, I love Shoto, I love Uraraka, and I put Bakugo in there because I just think he'd be really funny. I think the main reason I'm not so sure about Bakugo is because I think they're really gonna want a villain, and I think they're really gonna want Shoto. And it's harder for me to imagine 4 characters than it is to imagine 3. Please let me know who you think will make it into Jump Force, specifically from My Hero Academia, of course. Please limit your list to around about 5 characters, because I don't think we're going to go over that. I think that's a pretty solid limit. In fact, I could even see a world where we only get 2 My Hero Academia characters, Deku and All Might, just because they want to get like the 2 main My Hero Academia characters in there. In fact, I know I just gave you my prediction list with like 5 characters on it. It was like Deku, Stain, Shoto, All Might, and Bakugo. But that's assuming that we get 5 or so characters. In the world where we get much less, for example, let's say we only got 2 characters, I'm pretty confident those would just be Deku and All Might. Anyway, I'd love your feedback in the comment section below. If you're new around here, remember to subscribe. If you're not new around here, remember to like. Heck, if you are new around here, you could just do both of those things, you know? My name's been Bilbzy. I really appreciate you watching. I'll see you in tomorrow's video.